Okay, and we're being recorded. Cool. Well, welcome everyone. So this is our third yoga for lung health class. And today, the first class we did sort of just a general class, finding ease with some movements, some chest opening movements, finding some awareness through the pelvic floor and the central channel. The last class we did some focus on diaphragmatic release with a lot of like sort of prone positioning. Prone is being face down. So today we'll continue to work with that diaphragmatic release, but also really looking at releasing through, because the diaphragm is this muscle just below the lungs, and we'll talk more about it in a moment. When we inhale, it drops down. When we exhale, it comes up. So getting the diaphragm to free up is important, but also getting the rib cage and the muscles of the shoulders, even some of the neck muscles. These are all muscles that if they're tight, they sort of impact the ribs' ability to expand. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm getting notifications that are beeping at me. I just want to turn them off real quick. Okay, I think we're good. So let's start standing. And so you can be up at your mat. And I've been having us start with shaking. So you're just on the balls of the feet, bouncing up and down, real gentle. You can take longer breaths in through the nose, out through the nose or mouth, shifting weight. So what the shaking does is it relaxes the body, relaxes the joints, the tissues, but it also helps to cue the nervous system to relax. So we can shake the legs if you need to hold onto a wall. So our nervous systems are probably all amped up a bit right now with everything that we're experiencing. So just giving a little shake. Get the arms. Just imagine you're just dispelling any tension, any holding patterns in your nervous system and your energy. You can imagine any emotional stuff. You can go forward and back. Emotional weight that you're carrying, shake it off. Stress of using all the computers, do side to side. And just anything that's in your consciousness, in your body, give this time to shake it out. Good. Excuse me. Okay, so we'll start to come down, and let's take the shoulders now, since this will be our focus today. We'll squeeze them up by the ears and then just smooth them back and down. Inhaling up and then exhaling back and down. And just moving in a pace where it feels easeful with your breath. And like I just naturally did there with a sigh, feel free to let out some sighs. Good. One more. Good. And then we'll put our hands on our thighs. I'll give a little side view. You bend the knees in just an easy squat. Excuse me. So we're going to round the back. Think if the belly is really pulling back and letting the head and shoulders come down. And then as we inhale to come up, pull the hands up the thighs, drawing the shoulders back. So we're exhaling, drawing the navel back. The head and shoulders relax. And then inhaling, letting everything open, just gently, not doing it overly to where you feel any strain or impact in the spine, just real easeful. And then you can even do what we call a lion's breath. I'm going to get a little closer because I feel like I'm kind of dark over there. Sticking out your tongue as you exhale. So, and when you do this, you can really feel how that exhale, that longer exhale, that a little bit more active exhale, and then inhale through the nose, stimulates movement through the abdominals, pressure into the organs, pressure into the diaphragm, even lift through the pelvic floor. All of these inner structures are really moving. So any tension that we're holding in our gut, any holding patterns that we have in our diaphragm, and start to relax and move and get into better relationship. Good. And so we'll come on up. And then actually, we're going to start out doing some breathing exercises. And so I wanted us to be in a chair just so we're in a more stable place. So hopefully you have your chair close by. If you don't have a chair, you can sit on a bed or a couch. You can sit on the floor. Sometimes if sitting on the floor is challenging, you can sit like on a raised cushion. Good. And then when we're sitting in a chair, we're sitting more towards the front of the chair. Our feet are really stable and comfortable underneath us, the feet underneath the knees, and the spine is tall. If I was giving a side view, and actually I'll be doing a little bit with side views as well. So finding that comfortable grounding positioning through your base, your feet, and your pelvis. And just you can close your eyes and rest your hands on your lap or on your body, anywhere. And before we come further into some of these practices and these techniques, just let yourself come into this place of center. Let your mind drop into your body and being, maybe into your heart. And finding this place of quiet, of listening. And perhaps you have an intention that you're bringing to class today, something that you're wanting to create in your body or your life, some balance. Just being present here could be just a beautiful intention, easeful. So just take a few more moments being in this centered place, being with whatever intention or presence that is with you right now. Good. And so we'll review a basic breath in yoga, which some of you may know really well, and some of you may be newer, so it might be newer or review, but it's called the Ujjayi breath. And so it's this way of, like we did when we did standing with the lion's breath, we were really accessing some of these supportive muscles of respiration with the abdominals, even the pelvic floor. They start to naturally kick in when we do this breath, and it just gives us increased lung capacity, but also more improved full embodiment. So you can put your hands on your belly. I like to put one kind of on the upper belly, just below the heart, right about at the diaphragm, and one at the lower belly. And we're going to start by whispering the word whisper. So we're going to inhale, whisper. We'll do that a few times. Whisper. So different from just natural breathing where we're just sitting and breathing, it's kind of more of a passive process. The breath is shorter. Right now, we're sustaining and elongating the breath. And when we're doing the sound, that we're doing this thing where we're working the throat in a way that requires more support. And so you'll feel as you exhale, the belly draw in. You might even sense the pelvic floor lift a little bit. And then when you inhale, the belly will really relax. Now just do the sound. And you can see this is pretty soothing, so you can kind of let any tension in your body or mind, let it ride that sound, ride that release. And then finally now, keeping the mouth closed. And so you're just going to make that same sound and have that same sensation in the back of your throat when you exhale. I don't think you can probably hear my breath, but you should be able to hear yours. It'll sound like ocean waves or a little bit like Darth Vader. And so as you get more easeful at this, you can also start to bring that sound and sensation through your inhale as well. So it creates this like little valve. You're sort of creating a smaller airway through the throat. So then the air has to come through that valve. And so all of the structures of the breath, the diaphragm, the tummy muscles, everything's working more efficiently and in better coordination to create this little pathway so you can create that sound. So what you might notice too when you're doing this breath is when you exhale, when you just let your body go with the breath, there's this natural relaxing forward. And then when you inhale, there's a natural lifting. So kind of like when we do cat-cow. And see how that feels in your body. And so we'll do it with a cat-cow. So as you're exhaling, exaggerate that release into a little bit more of a cat. And then feel yourself pause there. Wait for that inhale to start. And then let yourself lift up. You can slide your hands up the thighs, pause your breath there. So we're waiting in the pauses for the breath to happen. Following that natural response that happens with the breath, that natural flexion, extension, and just waiting for the next breath in the pause. So in this pause, you're really helping to reset the body. You're helping to reset any dysfunctional patterns you have around breath. And so when the next breath comes, you're really mindful to how that breath feels. Then you're just letting the movement happen in response to it. And the movement gets carried by the breath, and the movement becomes more embodied, more easeful. Good. So we'll do another little movement with this. We'll take our arms out and open them up. So some of the muscles that impair really good breathing around the ribs are these chest muscles. So when we bring the arms out, we can feel a stretch. So as we're holding here, try that Ujjayi inhale. Little pause. And now as we exhale, take one hand to your belly, just right about at the diaphragm, and then bring the hand across the body. Wait here in the pause, and then see how that next inhale opens you up. Exhale. Just back and forth. I'm also having us put our hands on our floating ribs just as this sort of tactile cue. As we exhale, we feel the tummy muscles drawing in. And really be present with that little stopping at the end of the breath. And so if this feels too long for you, you can inhale faster Exhale faster. Good. One or two more. And then once you've done what feels like an even amount, then pause there. And also those muscles that we're stretching on the side body also help to release. So now let's take our, we'll do another little shoulder stretch. So we'll take the arm and pull it across. And so you might feel tightness in through here. Keep that arm there. And then take your other hand to your, you can even rest it on your shoulder. Take your other hand to your side ribs and see if you can feel the breath in those side ribs. Directing that opening through the side body. Good. So a lot of times when we're breathing, we get in habits of breathing forward here. So our upper respiratory muscles are used to breathing, but these lower our access to really opening the lower lobes, which are the ones that we want to access, especially with this illness, we can get into habits where we're not really opening this part of the ribs. Good. So now take that same hand that's across, turn it in, so you're internally rotating, and place the hand on the back. And see if you can bring it even up higher. If you can't quite reach that high, then just visualize, pretend like you can reach that higher. You can even turn your hand whichever way that you can reach to try to touch more towards the back ribs. And then just see how it feels to breathe into that space. So I'm focusing on breathing back through here. Good. And then release that arm. You can get a little rotation to the arm, pull the arm back. Good. So we have all these muscles in the shoulder that help it to rotate, have muscles that help the scapula move, that can get tight. So we're helping to not only bring awareness to the breath just below that, but also to the sensation of releasing those shoulders. So then we'll do the other side. So we'll take the other arm across and hold it there for a moment. Good, and then let that hand rest there. Bring your hand to the side ribs and see if you can feel that breath. And so this hand is also, again, like a tactile cue, guiding your brain to this part of your body and able to bring now your breath there. If your breath is used to being up here, your hand here is helping to remind your brain where to go. So now take this same arm, rotate it, put it back. If that rotation doesn't feel good, you can also just go like this. We're just trying to use our hands to bring awareness to what's happening in this part of the body when we breathe. Let's take a moment breathing there. Good, and then release that hand and just give a few rotations side to side. And turn the head. And feel that release in the shoulder. Good, so you might have had success with that. And you could feel that opening sort of into the posterior and lateral body. If not, here's another way that we can really feel that part of the body breathe. So if you have a pillow or maybe a blanket, you can place it on your lap. You can do it without a pillow too, but I found it actually gives a little bit improved effect. So last week we did something similar where we were laying on our stomach on a bolster. This is sort of another way to do a similar awareness if laying on your stomach is less easeful, or just, you know, if you're at your computer and you need to take a quick little break, this is something you can do. So I'm giving a side view. So we're going to, make sure you can see me, yeah. We're gonna lean forward. And you can rest your chin on your pillow. Let your head relax, let your shoulders relax. And just breathe here. And similar when we were to when we were sitting, as you could see in my demonstration, when you were breathing, when you inhale, your belly's restricted by the pillow, so that breath is really filling out into the, so your belly isn't moving so much, so that expansion has to divert into the back body. So as you inhale, you're going to feel the body want to lift, and as you exhale, you're going to feel the body want to lower. And just ride that, kind of exaggerate it a little. Let yourself lift up. And imagine, visualize your lungs, your whole back body, all those lower lungs all through the back, really filling up. We're also getting thoracic extension, so our thoracic spine. And then exhale, just relaxing through there. So this is helping to release tension in the diaphragm, divert the breath to the back body, gain access to the breath there, as well as get some mobilization to the thoracic spine. Good. Now we're going to, so you know how we're pausing on the top of the inhale? We're going to inhale, pause, and then take another little inhale, and then exhale down. So I'll demonstrate. So we're exhaled here. And we're going to inhale, not all the way, just part way, and then finish it off with a second breath. And then exhale down. So we're going to inhale, part way, pause, and then inhale all the way. And then exhale down. Good. So if you start to feel dizzy at all, right, we're going to actually do it next on our elbows. So maybe having your head higher than your heart would be better. But you might feel, with your belly compressed like this, your back body really exposed like this, that you're really able to get the breath to move. And you can feel how powerful that force of the breath is, that it actually moves your physical body. Good. So now come on up onto your elbows. You can move the pillow out of the way. And what else I like about this is it's helping the shoulders to be in a really passive, relaxed positioning. When we're breathing and we get into poor breathing mechanics where we're breathing up through here, we're also using the traps, the upper traps, and the neck muscles. So when we were just laying down, our shoulders were really relaxed. And so the habit of those muscles that might be part of the breathing that's not helpful for us is decreased. So we're going to do the same thing here on our elbows on our knees. And before you start paying attention to the breath, sort of draw the shoulders back and down and lift yourself up so you can feel this scapular engagement. So we're communicating to the middle and lower traps, some of the lower muscles to engage, and that also helps the upper traps to just relax. If this is too much anatomy nerdiness, don't worry about it. Just a nice broad chest, strong shoulders, drawing down with the shoulders, and then do the same breathing pattern. So we're going to inhale just a little bit and then fill it all the way out. And then exhale and kind of just release a little bit. So this is the same sort of mini cat-cow that we were doing before. And we're still in a semi-prone position. So we're really exposing the lungs. You might find it's even easier if you have something tucked up against your belly, putting pressure on the diaphragm. You might find it's easier to access that. So if your diaphragm isn't used to really being able to work well, putting some pressure there will help. Good. And then finally, we're going to do it upright. And we're just going to have a little bit of action through the arms. So the arms are pressing down into the legs. And again, the shoulders are drawing back and down. And we're sitting nice and tall. We're not overly lifting and arching the back. We're just sitting nice and tall. So again, this communicates the correct muscles in the scapular region to work so that the unhelpful muscles, the secondary muscles of respiration, don't start to go into their habitual response with breathing. And so we're just going to do the same thing here. Inhale with a little pause and then fill it out. And then exhale. And now as you're exhaling, really feel strong through the belly and remain upright. And feel how the whole body becomes nice and strong. So we're going to just inhale with a little bit and fill it out. And then exhale. Even imagine the pelvic floor lifting, the abs drawing in. If you start to feel like you're overly tense and you're overly working and this is creating strain, just come back to this one. Don't worry about all these added techniques. We're just trying to free up the breath. And if for you, just being here and just kind of just being with your breath and seeing how your body moves and is animated by it, stay there. Don't worry about adding on techniques. But if the techniques give you a lot of feedback to where you feel this embodiment, you feel these things happening, then these techniques are helpful for you. So now as we're seated, we're going to do a little rotation. So this rotation will help to mobilize the thoracic spine, the ribs, the chest, the scapula, all these muscles that we're working on. And we're going to do a little breathing pattern where we move into it on exhale, stay on inhale, and then move out of it on exhale, stay on inhale. Okay, so we're going to inhale here. And then as we exhale, just slide one hand up the thigh and really feel, and you can actually take the arm all the way off. Yeah, that feels better. Feel the shoulder blade drawing into the back. And now stay there, breathe in. And then as you exhale, broad through the chest, elbows straight, breathe in. Same side. So this time you can do the double inhale if it feels good. So you're going to exhale. Inhale, pause, and then inhale again. And then exhale out. And you can option do the double inhale here or just a regular inhale. So do that a few more times. Move on exhale. And also as you're moving, notice you have a habit of thrusting your ribs forward and arching the back. We're trying to keep the floating ribs down and the back body long. So you're just being really clean on this axis of rotation. You're not doing all these compensating movements. And what that does is it helps us to really mobilize all the structures that need mobility, whether it's in the spine, in the ribs, in the muscles, in the soft tissue. And when we have that improved mobility, then we have improved breathing mechanics. Good. And so then we'll relax when we're done, and we'll do the other side. So I'll just turn so you can see my body. So having us exhale into it. Inhale, stay. And then exhale out. Inhale, stay. Paying attention to the pauses You can notice that 2-part inhale. And this 2-part in yoga is called krama. So it's like stepwise. We're going stepwise into the breath. We're just taking the breath in little pieces to help us improve our relationship, our awareness, our efficiency. Again, and helping to break up patterns that we have around improper breathing, or just not efficient or effective breathing. And again, if this starts to feel like too much, just less is more. You can just make it super mini. I mean, for me, I start to feel an initial resistance right there. I'm feeling a little bit of pull in the upper body, but I'm not pulling to my end range of motion 100%. Just kind of just being in a place of such ease, and then get curious how the breath really moves. There's a difference between your mind moving your skeleton and your mind moving your breath, and then your skeleton moving in response to the breath. And so that's what we're trying to achieve here, that awareness. It's like the breath is really animating us. So do what feels like an even number on that side. And then when we're done, we can do another little cat-cow. You can stick out the tongue on the exhale if you like. I like doing that because it really just helps to release a lot of the structures in the jaw and the tongue, which is also associated with the whole entire tract all the way down, respiratory and digestive and energetic. Choosing what feels good for you. Less is more is such a beautiful mantra, and really going into sensation of feeling the breath, using the pauses to support you, like the little bookends on either side of sort of reestablishing in that pause, cutting out the, breaking the pattern. Good. So now we're going to come upright and do just a little bit in standing with the chair or bed or whatever you might have. I'm going to be using my chair, like the seat part of my chair to bend into. If you're less mobile in the hamstrings, or if you have back concerns, you might want to use the upper part of the chair. And so we did this last week. I'll give just a basic demo. We're going to do some specific stuff with the breath. So we're going to start in a split stance, or a warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. I have my feet hip distance apart rather than narrow on a tightrope. And I'm a good, at least like a full arm and a half distance away from the chair. You might need to be, because when we come down, we're going to be basically using the chair to catch our arms too. So, you know, about an arm and a half distance away, and you might have to adjust it when you first get to it. And so again, if I was doing the chair the other way, I would catch the support higher. Good. So starting in that split stance, we'll do, so as we bend the front leg, we're going to go couple this warrior into a forward bend. We're going to start with our arms nice and low. And when we take our arms back, we're noticing we're not over thrusting the chest, poking the floating ribs out, and we're not overly arching the low back or the neck. We're keeping pretty neutral in the pelvis when we come forward, so that we can get a nice stretch through the hip flexor. And then when we open the arms, we're really feeling and actually we're starting low, really feeling a gentle stretch through the chest. And then as we exhale, we're simply straightening the front knee, but also thinking of that hip is reaching back as we come forward to the chair. So if our hip wasn't reaching back, we'd kind of be tilted sideways, and we don't want to do that because it'll put torquing in the spine and you won't get the right stretch. So if I was forward, it would just look straight ahead as opposed to that. So coming back upright, we're going to use we'll start here, we'll inhale, and then we'll use the exhale Ujjayi breath to come forward. And so I like the arms here on the chair, whether it's the high part of the chair or the low part, because you're now stretching those lats, again, helping to open up the rib cage. Now take one full breath here, in and out. And feel how your body moves as you inhale. You have that same sort of almost lifting out of it as you exhale deeper into it. And now bend your front knee, sweep your arms down, keep them low, inhale there, and then one full breath. Now you can do a double inhale. That krama breath like we did before, and then exhale. Back down, stay one breath. Find the pauses. Find how the breath moves you, even though you're static. Feel the inhale take you out. Your hands a little bit higher now. So every time we raise the hands, we're helping to move the scapula. Stay one breath, and you can do the optional double inhale. Good. Exhale, back out. Have to come away from the wall. We're using that inhale to come up, maybe a little bit higher. And so when you're up, as you exhale, let yourself come out of it a little tiny bit. And then you can feel that. It's like you're just this little balloon getting inflated. If it feels good to do the double inhale as you're folded forward, there's no harm in doing that as long as you don't start to feel any lightness of breath, or lightheaded. And so a couple more, each time optionally going higher. So as we go higher with our arms, we might be in a habit of, as we lift the arms, we're also lifting the shoulders. So just notice if that's a habit for you. I encourage your shoulders to be relaxed, even if the arms are above the head, wherever they're at. If you have a hard time with that, just keep the hands lower than the shoulders. So if you notice when you're lifting the arms, you're also lifting the shoulders, which contribute to just keeping those upper respiratory muscles in kind of locked in their cycles, and keep them lower. So finish your last one, however high it feels good in your arms. Good. And then we can take our hands to our heart. And then we'll switch legs. So other leg back, other leg forward, hip distance apart. As you will just do a little practice as you bend that front leg, your pelvis remains neutral, meaning it's like a bowl of water. You're not spilling all the water forward. You're tucking the tailbone. And we'll start with the arms low once again. And then you just get into the rhythm with your breath. Exhale forward, pulling the hip back. Feel that opening through the chest, through the leg. Inhale there, and exhale. And then as you inhale to come out, bend the front knee. Find that tuck in the tail supporting your back. And as you exhale there, you're going to come out of it a little. Just let yourself breathe, and then do the two-part. Exhale forward. So you can be in your own pacing with this. And there, again, there's a difference between your mind moving your skeleton when you're in that place of holding and observation, and your breath actually moving the skeleton. And less is more. So again, if you find that you're really having a hard time getting that feeling of the breath, do a few more. Each time the arms can go higher. So as the arms go higher, different muscles are being stretched through the shoulder joint. Different things are happening with the scapula. Different muscles are working as well as stretching. So all kinds of different, when we're working the shoulders in that way, we're helping to free up the ribs, free up the thoracic spine, which all will help with your lungs. And so you should be on probably the last one by now. You might notice this side feels different, feels tighter. You can always do tighter sides more if you're doing this at home alone. So doing more repetitions on a side that feels tighter. And when you feel like you're in balance, come back to hands to heart. Good. And then pausing and standing. And I'll remain in a side view. And then finally, we'll do a forward fold. So you can remain using the chair if that feels nice, or you can just come all the way down. So we're gonna lift the arms up. And actually pause here for a moment. So notice when you actually bring your arms down, we'll do this. So when you lift your arms up, see how there's just this natural lift through the back of the heart. There's this natural opening, but you're not overly spilling out through the floating ribs. Again, you're just everything's really easeful. And now as you inhale, see if you can direct your breath to all the side and back body. So you're not getting hung up just in the chest, but you're feeling the full ribs expand. Good. And then when you're ready to come down, I like to do body scans with actual touch. So you bring your hands to your head, down to your back body, because we're really trying to encourage awareness, awakening of the back body, all the way down. And then you can either release the hands to the floor, or you can find the chair and release there. And if you rock your weight towards the balls of the feet a little bit more, bringing the hips over the heels, it'll just give more release to the spine, just listening to what feels good in your body. 2 more breaths, and find the pauses of the breath once again. Find how the breath moves. Good. And then when you're ready to come out, you can give a nice bend to the knees to have a little bit more stability. And I like to take the arms to the side to come up, so you can really feel that support of the scapula, the back muscles, all the way to standing. One more breath in, getting nice and long. And then we can release our arms down. A little shoulder roll, a little shake. And then we're going to come down to the floor. Let me just see what time it is. Okay, we're doing good. So come down to hands and knees. Have your props ready. We're going to be doing some restorative posturing with more pillows and cushions in a minute. But first, we're here on all fours. And so we can just do a little cat-cow like we did in upright. And see if you can go with that same awareness. So as you're waiting in the pauses, you're exhaling all the way to the pause. And then you're waiting for the next inhale to come. And then moving with it in response. Waiting for that in that pause, waiting for the exhale, really feeling the belly lift. So there's this feeling of your body being filled up internally. Good. One more. And then we're going to come to, again, a little inverted shape. So we were just doing some forward bending in upright. We can do that here. So just the simplest way is to come down to your elbows. If you have the mobility in your shoulders, so right now our hips are higher than our heart. And this is positioning our organs, our diaphragm in relationship with gravity, where there's different relationships, different pressures, and it's all helping to strengthen the diaphragm. We talked quite a bit about this in the last class. But now we're going to be giving a little bit more of a stretch through the shoulders. So if you can bring your head all the way down, arms out, see how this feels. If this is too much on the shoulders, you can still remain upright a little bit. If you're all the way down, you can even bend your elbows and get even more of a stretch through the upper arm. And so now pay attention as we're here to the floating ribs. So notice if the floating ribs are wanting to drop towards the floor, see how it feels to lift them slightly. And through that lift, see if you can, because again, if we're dropping all of our floating ribs forward, we're shortening and tightening through the back body here. And it's harder to find the breath through the back body. So if we can draw the floating ribs in, open through the back body on the other side, and then we can really get that feeling of the breath through the back body. Another nice thing I was experimenting with, if just lifting the floating ribs on your own is uncomfortable, you can also put like a little a bolster here against the front of the sternum. Excuse me, I'm getting my hair in my mouth. So this takes some of the pressure off the shoulders. If you're finding that the shoulders need a little bit more space, you can even take the bolster higher and even take the head off the ground. So if you're having tightness and impairment in the shoulders, this will help get you in a position where you can really get curious about what's going on at the floating ribs. And breathing into the back body. Good. So finish one more breath there. And we're not working on it in today's class, but in next week's class, we're gonna be looking at drainage. And so again, the prone positioning and even chest lower than hips is not only strengthening the diaphragm and causing just more mobility and strength, but it's also helping to drain any fluids that you might have in your lower lobes. So we'll look at that more in depth next week, but that's an added benefit to being in this positioning here, whether you're using the support of the bolster under your sternum or not. Good. So now we'll go ahead and lay on our back. We'll do one more little active movement, and then we'll do something more passive. And can you all see me okay? Yeah, okay. I can't see myself, so making sure. So we're on our back and taking a moment, feeling the ground beneath us. And feel the support under your back, your chest, your shoulders. And from here now, we'll take our feet, heels approximately under the knees, and arms a little closer to the body. Preparing for a bridging action. So we can still get a lot of benefit from bridge, even if you don't have a lot of mobility. Just doing really mini bridges. We're going to do some specific things with the breath to once again mobilize the thoracic spine, mobilize the ribs, and also improve that capacity of breath. So we're here, we're going to inhale. And again, we're using that Ujjayi breath if we can, because that breath will just create a lot more efficiency in what you're doing. Finding the pause. And then as we exhale, starting to lift gently. So even weight through the feet, arms are slightly pressing down, and we're not going for huge height. Now, as we're here, as we inhale, see how our body naturally gets carried into a kind of a more of a lift through the back of the heart. And then as we exhale, we'll lower down again with control. And then stay here, relax the arms, breathe in. And feel not only the chest breathe, but the mid and the back body. So you can feel the breath in relationship to the floor now. We have that tactile cue of the floor to draw our awareness into better presence and accessibility. And so again, as we exhale, lifting up. So now we can try the two-part inhale, the Krama breath, if that feels good. So just a little bit of inhale, and then a little bit more. All the way to the top with that little pause. And then as we exhale, lowering back down. Inhale, stay. Feel that fullness of the breath, especially through the back body, but everywhere. So keep going. So you're moving through time and space. You're lifting on the exhale, moving through time and space with the exhale. And you're staying on the inhale, doing that Krama breath as an option, or just a normal inhale all the way to the pause. And feeling how that thoracic spine, that point between the shoulder blades, just naturally goes into extension, lifts towards the chin. And then as you exhale, you're lowering down with control. And then when you're on the floor, just relax your shoulders, but then feel that fullness of the breath held here in support on the ground. Move on exhale, stay on inhale, optional two-part Krama breath at the top. Less is more. So especially if you start to feel effort in your breathing, in your throat, or just even agitation of mind, you're just starting to get into a place of agitation, do less. Back way off and be in this receptive place with your breath where you're almost, we talked about it last class, where you're being breathed. We're obviously doing this to the breath. Our conscious mind is dictating this, is asking for this action. But we can simultaneously be in this place of witness and reception, receiving, kind of just watching it happen. Our intention has set the parameters of what we're doing, but then we can play in this deeper mind of receive. Good. So finish the last breath. And in that deeper mind, we're in this real place of listening, trusting our body wisdom. We're done. So when you're done, just rest here for a moment, pausing against the floor. And in that listening place, that's where a lot of times our deepest intuition can arise. You feel, my body knows how to do this deep knowing and listening, letting your body guide you. So one more moment of just being in this receptive observation. Good. And then you can take your knees to your chest and just a gentle counter posturing. I like to start with the elbows really straight, the legs super passive. Again, feeling the body fill up with inhale. And then as you exhale, simply bend the elbows, pulling those passive legs towards you as the body empties out. You can imagine how, especially with this one, we've been focusing a lot on the ribs and the chest, but with this one, with the pulling the thighs closer to the legs, you can really imagine all that's going on in the belly, that diverting of the organs, the fluids, and just the energy, the awareness, the sensations, the embodiment there. One more breath. Good. Oh, I think can you guys still hear me? I think my earbud just died. Can you hear me? Yes? Or yeah? Even when I'm back here? Can you still hear me? Yes? Okay, awesome. It made a funny little noise, so all right. So now we're gonna find more props and we're gonna do some side lying into some rotation and some side lying and various things. So I am finding I'm really in love with these king size pillows. If you have one, bust it out right now. If you don't, regular pillow will work great. You might just need some kind of other prop, or you might not. It just depends on your body. For this first one, we're gonna lay the king size pillow sideways on your mat. So not normal, but sideways. We're gonna have another pillow, ideally a really long one again, up front, or you can use your towel or your blanket. I like to take for this one, maybe the long part of the blanket and then fold it like so. The bolster actually might be too thick for this. So pillows and blankets are good. And then one more prop could be your bolster or another blanket or pillow behind you. So I'll use my pillow just to demonstrate in case you don't have a bolster. My poor bolsters are not getting used. Bolsters are really so great to have at home if you go to Yoga Direct, I think, or most any website. You can grab one of these guys for like $40, I think, probably even less expensive too. But we can make do too with pillows too. They're great. So we're going to be laying on our side, and we're going to have that longer pillow or blanket, a couple blankets between your legs. We're going to have a thick pillow or bolster wedged up right against your sacrum. This is optional, but I find it creates this container of safety, of presence, and sort of tactile cueing to keep your pelvis in position and still, so we can then have freedom to work the upper body. And then this guy out of here. We have our pillow where we're laying with our head on the front edge of it, and then the back edge is behind us, so that when we go to lay back, it's there to support our upper back and our shoulders. So especially if we have limited range of motion in our upper body, and or shoulder, having that support there is awesome. You might even want additional support if you have like an injury you're working with. And then also, I mean, so many props are so great. You might even want a prop for your wrist. I found for me the wall is in the way and it actually serves as a nice support for the wrist. So I'm going to put this blanket right over there. So I'm preparing for it to catch the positioning of my wrist when I get there. And I'll guide you through it as we're going. So we're laying on our side. Knees are tucked up and in comfortably so, maybe a little less than 90 degrees, maybe about 90 degrees angle from the hip. Our head is on our pillow. We can feel the presence of the prop kind of behind us, behind our upper back. And then also we have this optional wedge right up against the sacrum. And just take a moment here. Am I comfortable? Am I positioned well? Do I need something else? Maybe if you have a harder floor, having blankets under you would be nice to create more of a contour for the part of your body touching the floor. And before we go into the rotation, just laying here on your side is very therapeutic. You can even take your arm overhead. And if you had another prop, put it under your hand to create more ease if you have any impairment in your shoulder. The very first class we did like a side lying passive stretch over a bolster. You can also do a side lying stretch without a bolster under you, just resting here. And what's so great about side lying, and especially in relation to lung health, is we're in a different position with gravity once again. So any fluids that are in the lungs will start to move. The relationship of the lungs against each other, against the diaphragm as we're breathing, as they're moving, you have that diaphragmatic pump. So just all your tissues are really getting mobilized. So the different positions your body's in, your viscera, your internal body is getting mobilized in a beautiful way. And then bringing your attention to that helps to open those pathways even more. Good. So now we're going to actually go into the stretch where can you still hear me? Yes, no? Yeah, okay, good. Sorry. It's right up against the pillow, so I wanted to make sure. Take the hands forward and let the upper body round a little bit and really, you can almost exaggerate this, even kind of fall forward a little bit. You can bring your pillow with you. So just like when we were sitting up on the chair and we were laying forward over the blanket, we could really feel the back body opened up. We can kind of feel that in this posturing here, laying on our side. And you can feel how the breath opens so easily into the back body. That inhale. Good. One more inhale here, and now we're going to take the arm, reach it forward. I like to pretend like I'm pulling on something, grabbing it. And then as I exhale, I'm pulling back. And so as you're pulling back, you can really feel the scapula, the shoulder blade engage. Again, my shoulder blade isn't way up by my ear. It's dropped back and down gently so. And as I'm pulling back with the scapula, I'm keeping my thighs really glued together. And my pelvis is staying still, but my upper body is starting to rotate. So I'm starting to go into spinal rotation. Navel looks forward, sternum starts to look towards the sky. And then I can inhale, open the arm if that feels good in my shoulder. And then I'm going to exhale, come right back out of it. So we're going to just make a little breathing pattern. Again, move on exhale, stand, inhale like we did on the bridge. Inhale here. So the fullness of breath. Exhale again, we're purposefully using the exhale as we rotate because the exhale stimulates the abs, which helps to stabilize the pelvis, giving us just more efficiency of what we're doing and also safety if we have any back conditions. Inhale here. And then exhale out. So do this a few more times, just like you did on the bridge. If you want to start to add the krama, that 2-part inhale when we're open, you can. Exhale, move. Stay there, breathe in a little bit more. And then finally, the next time we're in the shape, we'll stay there. So this might be nice, nice time for if you have that prop to rest your hand on. Sometimes if our wrist is lower than our shoulder, it could cause the shoulder to start to strain. So if our wrist is higher than our shoulder, passively propped, it could really help the shoulder just to surrender. So I'm there. And then take this other hand and gently place it on your diaphragm if you have the mobility in your shoulder. If you don't quite have the mobility, visualize, pretend like you're touching your diaphragm. And then feel all that's happening deep to that diaphragm in the belly. And you can even take this back hand and put it on the ribs and even the back ribs. And just kind of like we did at the beginning seated, we had our hands on our ribs, breathing. Feel that here and feel your breath between your hands. One hand in the front, one hand in the side or the back. And feel that fullness of breath in both hands, especially guiding into the back hand. Notice if you get kind of hung up in the front hand, keep that awareness throughout. And then I'm such a fan of touch because touch is not only, it just feels so good to us, maybe on an emotional level, on an energetic level, but also on our nervous system. It's really soothing. And it also can help train our brain that it has a tactile response. So, so now we're going to touch our hand from our ribs, whether it's the side or the back body, wherever you can reach easily. And then just run down the side body to the hip and maybe just into the hip wherever you can easily reach. And then come back up. And just feel the sensation all the way down and imagine this connection, this line of awareness. Because with our body, we often think of the body in parts, like, oh, these are just my lungs, or oh, that's just this muscle. But everything in your body is surrounded by this webbing of fascia, which is a singular system through the whole body. Fascia is the connective tissue around every muscle fiber, every cell, every nerve, every organ. And so as you're bringing not only your hand here, your awareness here, and now also your breath. So you might feel how your breath really fills out everywhere you just touched. You can imagine new patterns are happening. So releasing habits of tension. Good. And then anywhere that feels like it just might be tight, just putting your hand there to bring presence. And imagine the energy, the awareness dropping deeper, like you're actually touching your lung, especially if your lung is impaired right now. Just energetically be with it. Feel the breath connecting with it. Good. So you can stay there for a while longer if that's feeling good. If it feels good to come out, start to come out. And then start to bring your arm up overhead. And then maybe you want to just stretch out the leg as well and feel that whole body get long. Staying long through the front body, long through the back body. You're not poking those floating ribs. And then you can come back to fetal. If it feels good, you can also stretch that front leg out, reaching. You can even circle around, kind of let yourself explore a little bit, some just organic movements here. How does it feel? Where does your body want to go? Listen. And so if you're not sure, you're like, I don't know, I just want to be guided. Pause here. Listen, what would feel good? Okay, fetal might feel good. Okay, what might feel good here? Oh yeah, that stretch feels good. Or, oh, I want to do this. Well, listen to your body, see if it takes you anywhere. And if it just takes you to stillness, listen to that. Good. So once you're done, really letting the body free up in that side lying position, then we can slowly help ourselves up. And as we're up, we're in a staggered stance. We can either right away go to cat-cow to counter posture. If it feels good, have the hand under the shoulder and lift up. Only if this feels really appropriate in your body. This might be a nice stretch. Otherwise, just come right into more of a symmetrical counter posturing cat-cow, like we've been doing. You can also stretch back into child's pose. Back up to cow. You can even from here tuck the hips and come forward into a gentle up dog. So these are all just options. Even into down dog. Exhaling back. Inhale, stay. Exhale through. Inhale, stay. So finish off whatever form of counter posture is appropriate for you, and then we'll do the other side. So we'll take our same pillow for our head, positioning for the shoulder. Have your sacral wedge and your wrist support ready. Have your leg support. And I forgot to show different supports that the leg pillow can have. You can modify it if you want to be more static. So we were doing some free motion on the side. We can also be more static and purposeful as to where we put that leg support. So we're here. And I talked about this the first class. I always like to bring the head support to the neck, right at the nape of the neck, and then lower down. So your cervical curve is really contoured with the pillow. Your legs are at about a 90-degree. You have your sacral wedge there for that tactile cueing and just that presence of safety, stability, and taking a moment and just perceiving your internal body right now, what's happening in your lungs, your organs, how they're all shifted with gravity. And as you breathe, as the diaphragm's constantly inhale moving down, exhale moving up, the organs are all just receiving all this massage of the tissues, the fluids. You can bring your arm overhead like we did on the other side, just kind of see how that feels. Oh, and I had forgotten to show you last time. You can also do a passive positioning of the leg. I like to put the pillow right up against the groin area to support the whole leg, so you can be more passive here. And then finding that ujjayi breath with the little pauses. Make it yours, make it easy, make it receptive in this witness mind. Good. And then when we're ready, we're going to start to come into that flow with the rotation. So hands come forward. Again, this opens up the back body a bit, giving more opening through the back of the ribs, the back of the lower lobes of the lungs. And just take a moment feeling the presence of your breath there. And then we can take our hand forward, inhale here. And as we exhale, keeping stable and quiet in the lower body as we pull the upper body, feel the scapula draw in, the chest gently open, and just feel that real glide across the spine. So there's not one part of the thoracic spine that's overly working, just everything's moving evenly. Inhale, option, open the arm. And then when we're ready, exhale. Right back forward. Keep moving. Can you guys still hear me? I think I see yeses. Okay. So we're inhaling, staying, exhaling into it. And then we have the option to do the krama, the double inhale. So just a little bit of inhale, and then a little bit more. And then exhaling out. And just trusting that all these different shapes that your body is in, again, all this deeper mobilization of tissues and fluids and energy is happening. Oh no, we went way over. My apologies to anybody who had to go at 11:15. It is now 11:18. Oh my. We're having too much fun. So if you have to go, lay on your back for a moment. I'm just probably gonna go about, I'll give us a tiny Shavasana. So my apologies. These are new sequences for me. We can stay a couple breaths here, so I don't have all the details worked out. My apologies. Good. And then we can do some of that free explorative motion that we did on the other side. We can stretch out the arm and leg. We can see how it feels to bring the leg forward. And also we can be more static here with the leg propped here. So when we're going into the twist, it feels better to have the leg extended, we can. And we don't have time right now, but we can just briefly, like we did on the other side, we did all that beautiful tactile work with our hands on our ribs. Just touch your body. Your hands have a lot of wisdom. They bring that tactile presence. So your body feels something, so there's some feedback. It gives you a reference point in which to breathe to. And then if you just get quiet and get into that listening deeper mind, that deeper body, you can sense how the deeper structures are responding under that touch. And the breath, the consciousness is the same way. That's the beauty of breathing. It's like touching with our hands, but touching internally with our presence and our breath. So finishing off whatever beautiful, intuitive uncoiling that your body wants to go into here. We can do little stretch as we come upright, either on our side or all fours. We can do that same lift. Yeah, I've been thinking I want to make these 1.5 hour classes because that's where my internal time clock is. And so here we can counter posture in this symmetrical pose just to let all that good work that we just did weave its way through our body. So cat cow, or like we did on the other side, back into the child's posture, or even moving between up dog and down dog. Just integrating the movements, integrating how our tissues are coordinating and working together now, how our energy is moving through the body. And feeling this beautiful tether link with the breath. Good, and then as you finish that last movement, we'll make our way into our last shape. So you're welcome to take Shavasana laying down flat on your back, or if you'd like to do Shavasana in a slight incline, the incline can just be just enhancing to what we've just been doing. We'll be doing a little final breathing meditation too, right before we fully rest in Shavasana. So with an incline, you can use a bolster on the ground, and then you can stack one or two, like a blanket and then a pillow. So your body is kind of at an angle rather than completely flat. Or I think we're good here. You can just prop a bunch of pillows if you don't have a bolster. So I like to get the bottom pillow, if you're using pillows, right up against the tailbone, and then wedge the next one right into the sacrum. And then feel the next one hit about the mid-back. So all the curves of the spine are really supported. And then you might even need one more little pillow or even a towel roll. I'll bring the edge of the towel, roll it a little bit for the cervical curve. And you can have your legs crossed, you can have your feet together, knees wide. You likely might want something under the knees for more support, or legs out, or bent. A lot of different options. I'm gonna just bend mine and rest my knees together. Arms at your side. And then feel free to place any additional props on your body as an added weight. So on your belly, on your sternum especially, we've been working this region, and so that added weight can just provide additional release internally, a feeling of security. And as you settle into this shape, kind of settle into the supports beneath you, whether it's the floor or the cushions. And bring your mind to their support. Feel your breath moving in. We're almost blurring that line of your body and the supportive surface beneath you. The transparency that begins to happen. And sense that same transparency with the air you're breathing. Just feeling how the air moves from the space around you into the space within you, your lungs and your bloodstream, your cells, becoming you. This deeper energy. And so for this final meditation with the breath, you can choose to just listen to it and stay in this more passive breath, or you can partake. So we've been getting curious with the krama, the pauses with the breath, building the pause with the inhale. So now we're going to be slowly building and progressing to a 3-part breath. So gentle ujjayi in and out with the pauses. And the next, building back that 2-part inhale. So it's a gentle, just sipping on just a little bit of air and then pausing it. And then taking in just that full easeful breath, pausing at the top. And then full release. Good. Do that 2 more times with the 2-part. And now on your next breath and series of breaths after, do the same thing, but 3 pause or 2 pauses and then a pause at the top. So we'll inhale just a little bit, stop, a little bit more, stop, and then all the way up, preserving, holding, about 2 to 3 seconds, and then you can slow release. Just feel the whole body drain. So again, a little sip, stop, a little bit more, stop, and then all the way up, hold, and then full release. And so if that pacing that I just guided you through feels a little bit cumbersome, feel free just to take even smaller sips or omit the 3rd pause, go back to the 2 pause, or none at all. Continuing to stay present to this breath that you are bringing into your body, this doing of the breath. Yet seeing how a part of your deeper self is in a place of witness, receiving. And so we'll do this breath a few more times. It's usually nice to do a round of 6 to 12 breaths. But right now we're just letting ourselves go at a pacing, go and do how many that feels easeful. And so as you finish the last one, then let the following inhale kind of marry those pauses into just this one long, smooth inhale, all the way to the peak of the breath. And in that peak, maybe envision white light. And feel the seed of your intention there. And then as you exhale, imagine that light spilling across your whole body. So we'll do a couple more breaths like that. Just the smooth, easeful inhale, coming to that peak of the breath, this peak of your intention, this energy that you can see, sense, feel. And then as you exhale, imagine that energy just filling every inch of you. Especially the parts of you out of balance, whether it's a physical, emotional, spiritual aspect of your being. Last 2 breaths. So when we're ready, we'll begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Maybe stretch the arms. And then come for a few moments of just pure receptive quiet in Shavasana. So if you'd like a longer Shavasana, you might just pause the recording here. We'll just be brief in this moment. If you're in the incline and you feel like you would like to be laying on the floor at this point, you can do that. Letting any intentional movement of the breath slip away. Just all that's left is this place of receiving and being. And so finally now, we'll start to make our way to our side. Pause there for a moment. Take your time. Eventually making your way up to seated. And feel free to use any of your cushions to place beneath you, support under your hips and or your knees. And finding this stable, this rooted, connected seat through the hips, through the belly. You can rest your hands on your lap with the palms turned up, this receptive gesture. Elbows soft and bent, shoulders relaxed. Just sensing this freedom and ease. around the ribs, around the heart, around the lungs. Good. So now we'll take our hands as receptive hands towards ourselves, receiving within ourselves all this good energy that we cultivated through class. And from within ourselves, ourself almost as this vessel in which to now offer whatever is within us out into the world, whether it's offering a gesturing of peace, healing, of love, of light, of ease, of breath. And so as we open our arms, we'll inhale. Feel that energy running through you, beyond you, out wherever it needs to go. And then as you exhale, feel your hands carry it right back. And pausing with it as it plants itself right back into your being. And feel that inhale start to emerge again, helping to release and give. Back and forth one more time. Make the gesture it's really comfortable for you. Make it your own. And finally, when we return the final time, we can take our palms together against our heart. And just feeling this transparency within and around, and really feeling this sense of may all beings have peace. This being, this body, me, and all beings. One more breath, just feeling that connection, that intention. Namaste. And thank you for joining today. And feel free to give yourself a big, big hug. And actually doing that feels really good. Just opening up the back body. You can stay here and breathe a while if you'd like. Just embracing yourself. Oh, thank you all. It was wonderful to share this with you. And so may you have ease in your breath, your being, and beyond. So take care.